there's a couple of you there. Thanks for joining in. I'm going to go over this. Got a few things starting to pop up about this, so we're going to go over it. All right, let's go over this. Let's get into it. This is a 4.5-minute clip from Fox that just came out just a little while ago, and then we're going to go through one of my more favorite guys, a little bit longer of a video from the awesome lawyer, civil rights lawyer, and defense lawyer here in Arizona. We'll be going over that, but let's go over this 4.5-minute video first. See what's going on here.
That we might actually think for ourselves, and so now they've created this body that will do two things. Number one, it'll use taxpayer dollars to work through the mainstream media and flood the airwaves with whatever their propaganda narrative is that they're pushing at any given time, and try to drown out anyone with alternate views. And number two, they will silence dissenting voices through intimidation.
Right.
I think the thing to recognize with this, just real quick, is that this isn't something new. This is something that they have already been doing, that's happening right now. The only difference is they're formalizing it, making it official, which, if there's a silver lining in this, it is they're revealing exactly who they are and why they're doing it, what they're trying to accomplish. And it allows us, the American people, to stand up and say, hey, you know what? We're not going to let you get away with this crap. We will take a stand, we will reject it, and we will throw out of office those who are continuing to push and propagate this undemocratic, anti-free speech mission.
I showed tapes of Joe Biden. I'm going to show you tapes of Joe Biden in 2008 and 12 and 16. And then I have a question on the other side.
In our bilateral relationships with nations with whom we deal and have serious trade deficits, we have to be willing to put more cards on the table.
Now they got a new plan. Trust me, it's not going to cost you any more. Folks, follow your instincts on this one.
They put one foot in front of the other. They keep going. That's the unbreakable spirit of the people of America.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
I want to thank the former general. I keep calling him general, but the guy who runs that outfit over there.
I know you probably don't want this question. You're a Democratic Party member. Do you see a precipitous cognitive decline in Joe Biden?
I think it's distressing, Sean, to see that. I think that it's important that as we look at what you've just played out and what you're seeing is that we not just focus on Joe Biden, but that we actually, which is really kind of a distraction away from, to me, what is the more serious issue here, which is it's clear that Joe Biden's the front man and that there is the permanent Washington establishment behind the curtains that are pulling the strings. You know, I don't believe that Joe Biden came up with this department of propaganda. There are other people in this permanent Washington establishment who are calling the shots, who are making the decisions that have a very real impact, negative impact on our democracy and on our freedom. And it's important for us as the American people to see very clearly what's happening, not allow them to distract us, and stand up strongly against it in defense of our country and our Constitution and our freedom.
I would like to see a cognitive test. I get asked a lot of questions about you because you are not part of this radical Democratic Party, but you still consider yourself a Democrat. One, do you ever imagine becoming a Republican? You ran for president once. Would you run for president as an independent? A lot of people think that that might be your final goal.
Neither of those things are things that I'm giving any thought to. I am very focused on doing all that I can, as many Americans are across the country, in recognizing the crisis of this moment, the challenges that we face, that we've just talked about here, and how critical it is that whether we're a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican, that we stand together and fight for our freedom, to support and uphold and defend our Constitution and Bill of Rights. This is at the core of who we are as a country, and our democracy is under attack from our leaders right here at home. This is critical for us to stand together and to stay focused on protecting and defending it.
Tulsi Gabbard, thank you as always. Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Wow. All right. I'm going to reserve any thoughts till we play this next one. Let's see where we're at here.
The Ministry of Truth unveiled in America as the Biden Department of Homeland Security announces a new government disinformation board. This is going to be led by this woman named Nina Jankowicz. We're going to learn a little bit more about her today. We're also going to see where this all originated. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas responding to a congressional inquiry in a subcommittee. We also are going to learn more from Senator Ron Johnson, upset about this, already right out of the gates on April 27, sending a letter over to DHS Secretary Mayorkas, demanding to know more not only about the disinformation board, but also about Nina Jankowicz and some of the misinformation that she has spread relating to the Hunter Biden saga. We're going to get some background here from Politico. You see the photograph of Nina Jankowicz here, and this is what Politico tells us from their playbook. It says the Department of Homeland Security is standing up a new disinformation governance board to coordinate countering misinformation related to Homeland Security, I guess at the Homeland, focused specifically on irregular migration and Russia. Well, that's interesting. Migration. We'll talk more about that. That's something that Ron Johnson's upset about. Nina Jankowicz is going to head the board as the executive director. Previously was a disinformation fellow at Wilson Center, advising training and foreign ministry.
Fellow tards
as a part of the Fulbright Public Policy Fellowship. We'll learn more about that. And oversaw Russia and Belarus programs at the National Democratic Institute. Wow. So she's just been all over the place. We're going to dive in more, learn a lot more about her in a minute. She has a very active Twitter account and active Twitter following. So many people have combed through her background and seen a little bit more about what her perspective is on misinformation and disinformation and free speech, just plain old regular information. But before we get there, let's see where this all came from. This was
It's the Twoofin police.
Alejandro Mayorkas, Department of Homeland Security Secretary, in front of
Everything on YouTube, all the Twoofin polices. That was just a little beta test, right? Little data collectors and influencers to help this pass. You know what I'm saying?
First, there was a subcommittee there in the House of Representatives where they're talking about how dangerous misinformation and disinformation is. And remember that what they're doing here is they're defining those terms so that they can exclude certain conversations from the narrative, from the entire conversation. They can say, we're only allowed to talk about these things because the rest of this is categorized as dangerous information. It can fall either in the disinformation category or the misinformation category. And the way that they generally sub-define those is disinformation is stuff that is actively, aggressively put out there to impede other people's progress. We know it's disinformation, we know it's not real, and we're shoving it down your throats. And we're going to see that a big part of what's happening here is regular, legitimate conversation that is
gonna shove it down your throat like a Twoofin stream.
in no way any part illegitimate to the political conversation is being included and reclassified as disinformation. That's a little bit different than misinformation, as they classify it. It is information that is wrong, but not intentionally wrong, which is disinformation is intentional, erroneous information. But when you boil this all down in practice, what it means is that these people get to define what is legitimate speech, what is
I told you, they're trying to make LARPing illegal.
Conversation. The rest of it is disinformation or misinformation. Because if you say, well, my facts are as follows, they say, well, holy moly, that's disinformation because the CDC said so-and-so, or the World Health Organization said so-and-so, or whatever bureaucratic agency dictated that this was reality. Therefore, anything that you say is now out of bounds. You get the point. Let's listen to Alejandro here and this other government politician, House of Representative, congressperson, who is very concerned about this. These two are going to mash their heads together and come up with a solution.
Another huge threat to our homeland is mis and disinformation. You noted that it's a concern of yours at the border, with human smuggling organizations peddling misinformation to exploit vulnerable migrants for profit. One of my main concerns about disinformation is that foreign adversaries attempt to destabilize our elections by targeting people of color with disinformation campaigns.
Okay.
After it became clear that there was foreign meddling in our 2016 election, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence authored a report on the disinformation tactics used by Russia's Internet Research Agency, the IRA, to interfere in the election. The report found that, quote, no single group of Americans was targeted by the IRA information operatives more than African Americans.
Russia.
A newer trend that we saw in the 2020 election and already in the 2022 midterms is that disinformation is being heavily targeted at Spanish-speaking voters, sparking and fueling conspiracy theories. DHS and its components play a big role in addressing mis and disinformation in Spanish and other languages. Can you share what steps you take?
What are you going to do?
Plans you have to address Spanish language mis and disinformation through department-wide approach?
What are you going to do to ensure that our communication platforms, our demographic constituencies are not interfered with so that they don't start believing in conspiracy theories? What are the conspiracy theories? I don't know. Whatever this woman defines are conspiracies. She just gets to define those things, and then she expects the government, the Department of Homeland Security, to go out there and make sure that those guardrails are in place so that certain constituencies are not going to be jeopardized by disinformation, this new thing that is happening. So let's listen to the answer.
Congresswoman, we have a number of different offices engaged in this critical effort. Of course, our Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency has an entire effort focused on election security as part of its mission set. Our Office of Policy, Office of Planning, Policy and Strategy, also is a leading effort. Our Undersecretary for Policy, Rob Silvers, is co-chair with our Principal Deputy General Counsel, Jennifer Daskell, in leading a just recently constituted misinformation, disinformation governance board. The goal is to bring the resources of the department together to address this threat. I just read a very interesting study that underscores the importance of the point that you make, the spread of mis and disinformation in minority communities specifically, and we are focused on that in the context of our CP3 and other efforts.
Yeah, you know, I've always felt like this is very insulting, and this administration has been very insulting to people in minority communities. I mean, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were speculating that people of certain minorities and demographics would not be able to vote in an election because they couldn't get access to a fax machine, or they couldn't go, put something in the mail, or they couldn't. It was insane. I was like, what are these people talking about? What country are they living in? It was very insulting to people, and they did it anyways. Here they're saying the same thing. Apparently, certain communities can't decipher what's true and what's not, and they're just too confused. And, what do I know about it? But here we know that there is a new misinformation, disinformation governance board. And guess who's going to run it? This stellar candidate we have here, her name, Nina Jankowicz. She's on Twitter at Wikipedia, which is just really fun. Got a blue check mark, got an American flag, but guess what comes before the American flag? The Ukrainian flag, obviously. Over here in her background profile photo, she also has the Ukrainian flag. And I think that is, I don't know what she's wearing there, but you can see, very, very interesting woman. Says, oh, here we go, folks, April 27th, 4:17 in the morning. Cat's out of the bag.
They're Twoofin. They're playing Twoofers. The Ministry of Twoof.
Right. Here's what I've been up to the past 2 months and why I've been a bit quiet on here. Honored to be serving in the Biden administration at DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, to keep you safe, everybody, and helping shape our counter-disinformation efforts. It's like literally the Ministry of Truth. Okay, Political gave us the background. We already read some of that. Very excited about this. So excited, in fact, she posted a headshot that you can use at your leisure. She went over there to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, took a photo there in a blue blazer looking fabulous, and said, hey, everybody, here's my official portrait to grab your attention. I told you, she's kind of an interesting person. Says, now that I've got it, a huge focus of our work, and indeed one of the key reasons the board was established, is to maintain the department's commitment to protecting free speech. She's a joker, too. She's got a little spunk. She posts the official portrait to grab your attention, and then she's joking like she's going to protect free speech and privacy and civil rights and civil liberties. Go America. She's got to be just laughing her ass off as she's sitting there. Sorry for that profanity there. She's...
I saw the Tucker come up. I just played it right at the beginning of this, and this guy put this out actually a few hours ago, and I've been wanting to go live with it, but anyways, yeah, Tucker with Gabby Pelosi or whatever her name is.
In this tweet, just giggling like a schoolgirl, I'm sure, saying, watch this, folks. You're not going to believe this. I'm going to establish the Ministry of Truth, the governance board for disinformation in America. And I'm going to say that I'm doing it for free speech and privacy and civil rights. Hysterical. Now, she's onto something. She's not a dummy. I mean, she's been around all over the world, very qualified person, very highly educated, according to the Harvard class. I don't think she actually went to Harvard. I think it was Georgetown or something. But, that same group of people. But she is not dumb. She knows during some of these speeches how people react when this sort of encroachment comes down upon them. When you have a dictatorial bureaucracy that has its boot on your neck, people don't like that very much. She's not dumb. She acknowledges that. She's just not seeing it through the lens of the American citizen. She's seeing this as though, I think Americans are very...
Did I just dox that lady? Am I a doxer? Is this doxing? Anyone? Is that doxing? I guess I'm a doxer, you guys. The new minister of Twoof in our country. There you go. Call me a doxer if you got it.
Warming, they'll just say, okay, sure. We'll just sit down here and take your Ministry of Truth down our gullets. I don't think that's going to be the case. She knows what that might sound like in other parts of the world when she was engaged in her studies.
First of all, color revolutions have nothing to do with race. The term was coined in the early 2000s when countries like the Republic of Georgia and Ukraine had spontaneous, peaceful, democratic revolutions that had colorful nicknames. In 2003, the Georgian opposition protested the opening of a new session of parliament based on fraudulent election results. They did it while carrying roses, hence the Rose Revolution. In 2004 and 2005, Ukrainians protested their own rigged election. Candidate Viktor Yushchenko's campaign branding was orange, hence the Orange Revolution. You get the idea.
Yeah.
Color revolutions have earned a bad rap, though, mostly thanks to Vladimir Putin, because they brought in democratically minded governments that threatened Russian influence in the region. Putin likes to suggest they are CIA organized. That is not true. Believe it or not, sometimes people get fed up with having their voices silenced for decades.
Oh, did you hear that there? Sometimes people get fed up, sick and tired of having their voices silenced for decades.
Putin's narratives intentionally rob protesters of agency. They discount the grievances that brought them to the streets, risking their lives, and ultimately they undermine the resulting governments. And now we're seeing the same narrative cropping up here in the United States.
So
here's why it doesn't fit. First of all, in case we've forgotten, protest is a democratic right. You are entitled to it no matter your opinion. Second of all,
It's still all covert, no matter which way you want to look at it.
Revolutions happen in autocracies, when people are fed up with the indignities of an entrenched regime. While we have witnessed some democratic backsliding here in the United States,
what does that mean?
We are not an autocracy. We still have checks and balances. We still enjoy democratic rights. Certainly, we are not Georgia in 2003.
In other words, it's still all covert. Covert censorship.
In 2004 or Belarus today. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, these events usually happen in response to a rigged election. Even today, we should still have the confidence that our votes will be counted fairly and accurately. I do. And as a reminder, there's only one candidate who is tweeting about rigged election results. So, in short, color revolutions aren't dirty.
So you see where her political leanings are here. Very articulate, very bullet-pointed personality. Somebody who can deliver talking points very well, and she can talk out of both sides of her mouth. She can talk about democracy and freedom and preserving our civil liberties at the same time, saying that you don't really have an opportunity to protest an election. There's only one candidate out there who is, the next sentence, the next logical conclusion of this problem that she's finding is that it's disinformation and it must be precluded, right? That's where this goes. It goes from Donald Trump or whomever is just kind of complaining about the results to now saying it's a fake whatever, and then that becoming a problem that needs to be remedied. We have to excommunicate that person off of the platform because it's dangerous to other people. It results in things like
excommunicate them.
Whatever. So you can see her narrative is very polished. It's very well done. I mean, if you can imagine somebody who you'd want at the Ministry of Truth, that you'd want somebody who's got some charisma, who has the ability to deliver a message, and who apparently has no qualms about
the Ministry of Twoofin on YouTube with all the Twoofas.
Talking about protecting democracy and civil liberties. At the same time, she's creating and becoming a part of a board that is directed at stifling speech. Very, very powerful, very polished Ministry of Truth leader. She has more background, though. We can see here on Twitter. Here's a clear example of exactly that censorship. Here, Donnie O'Sullivan posted this back on Twitter on January 29th, saying, Twitter says it has quit taking action against lies about the election, the previous election that is so problematic. Here, she responded saying, oh no, considering the long-term damage these lies do, saying things, sharing opinions, promulgating things that may even not be accurate, right, is now dangerous and causing long-term damage to the democracy. I'm dismayed by this decision. So people out there saying things, even if they're not true, is damaging democracy. So you have to do something about that. You got to shut them up, because you can't solve that problem, according to her worldview, by letting those ideas out there and let them be debated and refuted and debunked. It's too dangerous to have an idea floating out there. They've got to get rid of it. And so
I blame this all on the faceless trolls out there, okay, that have to dox single moms with all their bullshit. Okay? You screwed up. All the faceless trolls out there, Twoofin, you screwed it up for everybody else. Thanks a lot. We were trying to warn you. Now they need a special task force to take us all down. You see what you did? Thanks a lot, you little bastards.
Is not getting rid of it anymore or coming down on people. She's upset about this. Says, I say this about foreign disinformation, and it applies to domestic disinfo too. Elections aren't an endpoint, they're an inflection point. Policies need to reflect that. Saying that we need to do something about this. Policies need to reflect an ongoing narrative. They're not an endpoint. The election's over, meaning you don't let up your censorship. They're just an inflection point. The policies need to maintain from election to election. You can't let this backsliding go. In other words, you can't raise your shields only when it's election season and then drop your shields. They got to be up all the time against disinformation. Here, she continues, she writes, back on the laptop from hell, posted this October 22nd, 2020, just a short few days before the election took place, says, apparently, Biden notes 50 former national security officials and 5 former CIA heads that believe the laptop is a Russian influence op. And we know that's been debunked.
Of course, it's been debunked.
Even the New York Times and the Washington Post have all confirmed this now. So this person here was literally on Twitter in October of 2020, retweeting or tweeting literal disinformation that came out from the Democrats, from these 50 former NatSec officials, from these 5 former CIA heads. They signed a stupid letter that they either knew or had reason to know or should have known better was inaccurate. They signed it. It's not accurate. It's now been confirmed 2 years later after the election's over. They bring it up, and she was spreading it around on the internet, on Twitter. And she's going to be in charge of stopping that from happening now. Beautiful. She says, Trump just says Russia, Russia, Russia. Well, that was not accurate. Why were you tweeting that? Here she also says, Jankowicz has advised the Ukrainian government, this is her full biography, and I got this over from Jack Posobiec, said that on strategic communications, she was there under the Fulbright Clinton Public Policy Fellowship, been highly involved with Ukraine, right? We talked about some of that previously. Another tweet here says the Trump speech is definitely the most presidential thing he's ever done, but still missing a disavowal of disinformation and conspiracy theories. He's got to disavow it. And once again, for these people in the back, the free speech versus censorship framing, she says, is a false dichotomy. It's not one or the other. You know, what we're doing is not censoring you. We're protecting your free speech by limiting the amount of speech you can have and the things you can say. We're protecting it. It's literally from 1984. All right, so Congress unhappy about this already. Senators chiming off. April 27, 2022, Ron Johnson was the first out of the gate on this one. I think the same day they announced it, basically. He says, Dear Mayorkas, Department of Homeland Security, I write to request information regarding the DHS and their plan to create this new disinformation governance board. Apparently, this is purportedly related to Homeland Security issues, as you say. The Political report told us that it was focused on migration in Russia. Nina Jankowicz was confirmed. The Biden administration, says Ron, is not proven itself to be a credible arbiter of disinformation. In fact, he says, it's taken steps to silence information that is unflattering to them, and then they call it disinformation. For example, he writes, unnamed intelligence officials, the media, and social media platforms engaged in a coordinated effort to censor stories about Hunter's laptop and his questionable financial dealings under the false label of disinformation. Footnote 3 shares this story from Fox News, and we've covered most of these. Another story over from Twitter referencing Nina Jankowicz and her announcement. The letter continues, Miss Jankowicz herself, Mayorkas, has been a beacon of misinformation online. She has published multiple tweets furthering the false media narrative about the laptop, which we just talked about. In one tweet, she wrote, the intelligence community has a high degree of confidence that the Kremlin used proxies to push the narrative. Writes, this was a clear nod to the alleged Hunter laptop. In another, she referenced the origins about how the laptop came into possession, calling it a fairy tale. Here are those tweets specifically. She posted this October 22nd, again, just days before the election, another one just days before. Lots of news yesterday. So initially missed this piece by somebody casting yet more doubt on the Hunter Biden story. All true, confirmed. She's spreading misinformation, disinformation. In 2019, people in Ukraine were trying to sell access to the Biden's emails for $5 million, alleged. Says not to mention that the emails don't need to be altered to be part of an influence campaign. Voters deserve the context, not a fairy tale about a laptop repair shop throwing shade on a legitimate story. The media was out there actually spreading disinformation because they had a dog in the fight. They wanted Joe Biden to win the election. And if this story got feet, that would be a big problem for them. So the answer was to circle the wagons, bring everybody out, call it disinformation, even though that was actually disinformation, and then proffer that story forward to the American people, and she spread it. Here she says, I see the intelligence community has a high degree of confidence that the Kremlin used proxies to push influence narratives, including misleading or unsubstantiated claims about President Biden.
Oh, I bet you Mr. Sock is a disinformation operative in the chat with your bullshit. You're trying to ruin the Twoofin movement. Thanks a lot. You guys already screwed it up.
To U.S. officials, influencers.
Which I really don't care. Oh, Mr. Influencer.
And some even close to President Trump. A clear nod. Influence narratives, including misleading or unsubstantiated claims about President Biden to U.S. officials, influencers, and some even close to President Trump.
Oh, man, I can't call him a hair sniffer
to
anymore.
The alleged Hunter laptop. That's several tweets. Disinformation. The letter continues from Ron Johnson, says, she posted these tweets. Now DHS is creating a board to counter misinformation by focusing on, quote, irregular migration. What? Says,
hey, Sock, Mr. Sock in the chat, socking it up. How many times do I gotta say? I don't work for DHS. I'm the one here that's been surrounded by him. Okay? You guys are the idiots that think I'm the one censoring people. Dude, once again, man, you guys are the ones ruining it for people by your sock bullshit. Funny how ABC got his name filtered now. Dude, this guy right here, okay? Get a freaking life, dude. Somebody get rid of that guy.
DHS is taking action just weeks after announcing it's going to stop Title 42. CBP is reporting 7,000 encounters a day. DHS even concedes that it expects to encounter another 18,000 migrants a day after Title 42 is lifted. So what are you doing this for? He finishes, says, you claim this administration's border policies are humane, but the crisis caused by your policies have only added to the many tragedies caused by the immigration. I am concerned that your disinformation board is only going to serve to silence or censor those voices critical of your disastrous policies and serve as political cover over your failure to secure the border. Therefore, he says, I am asking, number one, that you provide...
I agree with that. All you sock and troll accounts out there, you have failed to cover for your failure to secure your chat room borders. Okay? You guys suck. You screwed it all up. Alright? You screwed it all up.
The statute that allows DHS to create a disinformation board.
Unless a lot of those sock and clone accounts out there are put there on purpose to screw it up. You see what I'm saying?
Or appoint board members or assign and hire staff. In other words, what's your authority to create this ministry of truth? And how do you define there, number two, misinformation? I'd like to know what his answer is also for disinformation. What does DHS consider to be irregular migration? Anything that's not through a point of entry? What does DHS consider to be misinformation about irregular migration? And what does DHS component or office is responsible for monitoring or collecting this data? And how many staff are on this? We're Congress. We have the power of the purse. We have to decide what to budget for, you people over there. And what is their assignment? What are their job descriptions and classifications for these Ministry of Truthers? It says, lastly, what specific actions does DHS intend to take?
It's like YouTube. All you need to do is do some twoofing and you're a twoofer with credentials.
Quote, counter misinformation. Johnson writes, please provide this information as soon as possible, but no later than 5 p.m. May 6, 2020. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, as I mentioned at the very start of this video, we are already seeing politicians using this in Congress to craft this disinformation narrative to try to exclude their political rivals. Here, Democrat Rep. MGS, her name is Mary Gay Scanlon, over from Pennsylvania, 5th District, claims it's disinformation to ask Biden's Department of Homeland Security official about the border crisis. Here's what that sounds like.
I'm sorry that so much of this hearing has been wasted with political grandstanding and disinformation.
There it is. So that makes it illegal. Whoever was talking about anything that she didn't like, well, now you're going to be in violation of the new Biden.
Can I just say that to fellow Mon? You're in violation of disinformation, fellow Maynard. Okay, with your DHS Dave Acton account checking in with your bullshit. You're guilty. Here, hold on. I want to get the wording right here. Hold on. We're going to go back. Okay.
Has been wasted with political grandstanding and
grandstanding.
disinformation.
There it is. So that makes it illegal. Whoever was talking about anything that she didn't like, well, now you're going to be in violation of the new Biden Department of Homeland Security Censorship Ministry of Truth Governance Board for misinformation and disinformation. We're going to see a lot more of this, I have no doubt about it, because the narrative is crumbling all around them, and the tools that they have left are sort of government.
All right, fellow Mon. You're in violation, okay, of grandstanding without a backbone, and you're spineless. And your disinformation is illegal, apparently. I mean, I don't know. I mean, just keep testing it, their fellow Maynard, okay? Just keep trolling them accounts with your sock and clone accounts and putting it to the test, all right?
Of power. They're in charge for a short while. They've got an election coming up, and they want to stop this crumbling from continuing. So we'll continue to follow. I hope that you stick around and join us on that journey. I would love it if you subscribed and shared this video before you got out of here, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Wow, that was pretty crazy. Well, that is just so interesting there. Wow. Here, we'll play the Tulsi Gabbard again. Here's the Tucker and
They're afraid that we might actually think for ourselves, and so now they've created this body that will do two things. Number one, it'll use taxpayer dollars to work through the mainstream media and flood the airwaves with whatever their propaganda narrative is that they're pushing at any given time, and try to drown out anyone with alternate views. And number two, they will silence dissenting voices through intimidation.
That's called covert censorship. How many times have I got to say this? I've said it a lot, okay? People will be safe. We are protected. That's funny how a sock account is telling me how my sock accounts will be protected when you're the one that's protected. You're the one, fellow Mon, that it seems as though you're the one that's got the qualified immunity here, okay? But maybe not for long. I mean, I don't know. Are you an arbitrator of the Twoof, right? Are you here to say what Twoof is illegal or not illegal? You know what I'm saying? Fellow Mon, are you just Twoofing? I mean, I want to just live the life of a Twoofa. Wouldn't that be fun? That'd be great.
I think the thing to recognize with this, just real quick, is that this isn't something new. This is something that they have already been doing, that's happening right now. The only difference is they're formalizing it, making it official, which, if there's a silver lining in this, it is they're revealing exactly who they are and why they're doing it, what they're trying to accomplish. And it allows us, the American people, to stand up and say, hey, you know what? We're not going to let you get away with this crap. We will take a stand, we will reject it, and we will throw out of office those who are continuing to push and propagate this undemocratic, anti-free speech mission.
I showed tapes of Joe Biden. I'm going to show you tapes of Joe Biden in 2008 and 12 and 16. And then I have a question on the other side.
In our bilateral relationships with nations with whom we deal and have serious trade deficits, we have to be willing to put more cards on the table.
Now they got a new plan. Trust me, it's not going to cost you any more. Folks, follow your instincts on this one. They put one foot in front of the other. They keep going. That's the unbreakable spirit of the people of America. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
I want to thank the former general. I keep calling him general, but the guy who runs that outfit over there.
I know you probably don't want this question. You're a Democratic Party member. Do you see a precipitous cognitive decline in Joe Biden?
I think it's distressing, Sean, to see that. I think that it's important that as we look at what you've just played out and what you're seeing is that we not just focus on Joe Biden, but that we actually, which is really kind of a distraction away from, to me, what is the more serious issue here, which is it's clear that Joe Biden's the front man and that there is the permanent Washington establishment behind the curtains that are pulling the strings. You know, I don't believe that Joe Biden came up with this department of propaganda. There are other people in this permanent Washington establishment who are calling the shots, who are making the decisions that have a very real impact, negative impact on our democracy and on our freedom. And it's important for us as the American people to see very clearly what's happening, not allow them to distract us, and stand up strongly against it in defense of our country and our Constitution and our freedom.
I would like to see a cognitive test. I get asked a lot of questions about you because you are not part of this radical Democratic Party, but you still consider yourself a Democrat. One, do you ever imagine becoming a Republican? You ran for president once. Would you run for president as an independent? A lot of people think that might be your final goal.
Neither of those things are things that I'm giving any thought to. I am very focused on doing all that I can, as many Americans are across the country, in recognizing the crisis of this moment, the challenges that we face, that we've just talked about here, and how critical it is that whether we're a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican, that we stand together and fight for our freedom, to support and uphold and defend our Constitution and Bill of Rights. This is at the core of who
Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, she's a Democrat. She can get away with saying that.
Are as a country, and our democracy is under attack from our leaders right here at home. This is critical for us to stand together and to stay focused on protecting and defending it.
Tulsi Gabbard, thank you as always. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Shut up, dude.
You will not get it.
All right, a little more in Arizona news, just a couple of headlines. Arizona doctors say the COVID-19 pandemic is over in the state. That's kind of good. Fauci's saying something here. I don't even want to listen to Fauci. Also, something else. Attorney General Mark Brnovich gets caught by using a fraud fund. Let me go back to this headline. Arizona Attorney General using consumer fraud funds for political fights. So there's a task force in Arizona to fight fraud, but it's connected through the Attorney General's office, and it's federally funded to fight fraud. But he's been using it to campaign. He's been using, oh my gosh, been using a lot of money to use for his own political campaign, it seems like. And which I think would be fraud. Isn't that interesting? Our own Attorney General, okay, gets nailed for using a fund to fight fraud for his own fraud. I mean, oh no. Oh no, that's actually 9 minutes. You know, I'll play that. Here, I'm just going to put it on.
First up at 9 o'clock.
All right, well, I'm putting that on the history, okay? And then what I'm going to do is we're going to put on some music, and we're going to have a little discussion. Let's have a little discussion about this. Do we maybe need to try to drop the link? Is somebody interested in coming on up here? And Anyways. That calls, it's not an accident. That calls get recorded. Yeah. Right. Okay. No, I didn't. Oh, that'd be interesting. I'm about leaked recordings, right? Kind of like that. I need to re-leak the recording I did when I called freaking the FBI homicide line and they were having a party. Is FM letting us down? Did he give up too easy? Oh, FM, how many of your sock accounts are gonna run through here tonight? Or is it you, Cowzette, and Nicola all teaming up? Do you guys have like a little guard shack in your Trooferville where all of a sudden red lights go off when Mr. Cox lights up a stream? Do you guys go, red alert, get to your trolling stations and grab your socks and your clone accounts. And start trolling Cox with all your clone accounts and sock accounts. Yeah, it's called Discord. Yeah, they do all their trading of their disinformation through Discord, which is not good. If anybody's interested in joining the panel, let me know. It'll just take me a minute to be able to drop a link. I didn't think I was gonna have a panel, and I didn't put it in the description box before I started. So it'd be kind of hard. I think it's kind of hard to go back and do that, but I think I did it the last time. I was able to make it work. But anyways, if anybody really wants to come on, let me know. I'll drop a link. And, well, I don't know which chat will... Well, actually, I think I can drop it in both chats at the same time. I appreciate you. There's a few there joining in. I appreciate you there. This is all very interesting. Now we have not only the Twoofin police on YouTube and in their guard shacks with, it looks like a freaking command station in a prison where they got everybody monitored. Oh, Cox just went live. Make sure you get your clone accounts in Sector C. Sector C. Bring your clone accounts and your sock accounts. Get ready to troll Cox's chat. You know what I'm saying? But now it's going to be like, really, I mean, is it going to be the Twoofin police? Are they going to be like rolling up in M-Raps and saying that I called, Biden a hair sniffer? Is that the way it's going to end up? I mean, I hope not. You get a notification. You're on both channels. I only got it for Quantum. Yeah, I released like 10 videos earlier, so I didn't have any notifications on the regular channel. But anyways, that is all good. So that's pretty cut and dry. No need to really debate this down. You guys are spot on as always, right? Oh, no, you are never okay. Well, anyway, I'm going back to Quantum. I don't know what she's saying there. Oh, okay. I think I see what you're saying in there, Sugar Shine. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's right, Sugar Shine. You just stay on your channel, and I'll just stay on my channel. Okay, Sugar Shine? You got that? Oh, okay. Well, at least we got a notification that went out for Quantum. That's all right. Oh my gosh. Here we go with more of the reverse trolling from the DHS operatives that are not deflecting, but they're projecting that I'm the DHS operative here when they are in fact looking like they're the double reverse operative trolls to help create. Oh, there you go. Okay, so I to help create censorship. So since I said that I'm the one here that got surrounded by DHS. Now it's going to go, now the FEMA and the ADL and blah, blah, blah. And, just run down all the alphabet soups I think you guys have accused me of. Lots of accusing of all these alphabet soup agencies that Mr. Cox could be working for, but isn't. All right, so, and I can say that. It's interesting how other idiots like Zombies and Mikey True 2020, and when you tell them, to show your name and badge number, they just deflect. They just deflect. There's no, well, we don't have any badge numbers or anything, so we can't really identify yourself or anything. Anyways, it looks like I might be dropping out. We're getting close to an hour here. Might just cut it off. Doesn't look like anyone wants to join in and debate down this task farce that's going to be double trolling us now. See, it's all the acclamation of the trolls and the operatives. that are in this chat trying to troll me, right? The operatives are there, okay, to acclimate you to Biden's hair-sniffing task farce if you talk against him. All right, yeah, maybe it's my phone. I got a couple dropouts. Well, this is just absolutely amazing. I mean, we're going to have high-level trolls in here, not these low-level trolls of, like, Fellowmon and Zombies and Mikey True 2020 and the Urban Disciples, right? And Denise Matau. No more of this low-level trolling. We're not going to have any more low-level trolls on our ass, okay? They're going to up the ante with this task farce, this hair-sniffing task farce, and they are going to send in the pros. We're talking pro-Israeli, okay, IDL, IDF, okay? You guys are going to experience, okay, now, high-level, covert, government shill trolls that will dox your ass in a heartbeat, okay? If you talk about the hair sniffing, okay? Conspiracy, right? It's just, it's going to be next level. Fellowmon was just actually just the acclamation, right? Anyways, I think it's real interesting what happened to Dave's latest blog. I'll just leave it alone. Okay, then why even say anything about it? See, that's why you just need to stay on your channel over there, all right? Sugar Shine? Oh my gosh. You guys are just crazy. Well, okay, YouTube psychosis, all right? Now, I don't want to go all Jesus on you and everything, but maybe, okay, just maybe, well, I can't just say maybe, all right? Let's say through our discernment and your relationship with Holy Spirit and listening to the birds, okay, I'm not even joking about all this. If you listen to the birds, okay, and you have a belief in Holy Spirit and a relationship with Jesus, I think there's going to be more truth there than you can get from any operative trying to force feed some type of narrative down your throat, like the Fellowmons do with all their bullshit. Okay, that's. Do you think Fellowmon has been annoying for the last few years? Yes, right. But it's about to go into turbo mode. Fellowmon, And Philemon just got to be kicking back going, oh, yeah, I just can't wait. I just can't wait, right? All this high-level trolling, you can't wait to be a part of it, right? Mr. Cox isn't going to be. I'll probably just shut it all off, go back to listening to the Holy Spirit and Jesus, and go fishing while you guys thrash it around and thrash it out, okay, and duke it out with some high-level, okay, hair-sniffing operatives protecting, you know, the Bidens, basically, and their shady deals with what was it? 33 billion or something now it's going to be sent to aid in Ukraine. Is that disinformation? Am I going to be arrested for repeating that? Okay. I don't know. Intestinal fortitude will be a must in the coming days. Intestinal. 33 billion. All right. All right, Sugar Shine. Yeah, you know, Sugar Shine, I still haven't gone over there and looked at that. I need to look at that. Anyways. Well, let's kick on some music for a few minutes. Thanks for joining in, you guys. That's about all I got. All the jokes I could come up with that. I mean, I'm sure there's more jokes there to be had, but I'm not in the mood. All right. Appreciate you guys joining in. Oh, there he is. There's Philemon again. Way to go, Philemon. Get in your last little swings. DHS Mossad connections are looking real bad right now, bot. I mean, you know what? When are you guys actually gonna, like, destroy somebody? Okay? Are you guys gonna go into, like, trolling turbo mode to try to outshine the new government trolling, like, task farce that's gonna come in? Right? With the covert censorship? Alright, you're trying good here, but once again, okay, expose BS or whoever you are, Philemon Clone, Cowzette, Nicola, Mikey, whoever you are, okay, I'm the one that's been surrounded by DHS, never forget it, alright? Okay. Oh, way to go. Yeah, well, I wonder what type of connections you can prove I got there, fellow tard. Alright, anyways. You guys are awesome. Thanks for trolling it out with me. Even though there's 3 trolls here and 2 real people, it's alright. Maybe 3, but it's okay. Alright. Just trying to have comedy hour with you. That was definitely some serious comedy we just went through. You guys are awesome. Thanks for sticking around. Should we play some music for a while and just leave the chat going? We could do that. We can do that. Appreciate everybody joining in. Even the covert agent trolls that are in the chat room right now trying to reverse project that they're not the operatives. See what I'm saying? Alright.
and thank you for joining us. The trial for former Phoenix police officer accused of sexually assaulting 3 women in his patrol car. This was over a 2-year span. That trial began today.
Sean Pena was put back on patrol after the first victim came forward back in 2018 before ultimately being fired following criminal charges in 2020. Elliot Polikoff is live in the newsroom with what happened in the courtroom today. Elliot.
Jamie and Yetta, day one of this trial included opening statements from both the prosecution and the defense. One of the sexual assault victims also testified about what she says happened to her in August of 2019, as Pena sat in the courtroom just a few feet away.
How do you call the police on the police?
Powerful words from one of 3 women allegedly sexually assaulted by Sean Pena.
Scared because I don't trust the police.
This woman, whom the judge asked us not to identify, says that Pena sexually assaulted her after shouting her name from his patrol car as she returned from the grocery store in August of 2019.
He grabs my hand and places it on his exposed penis. I jerk my hand back, scared, wondering why did he just do this?
According to a November 2020 Maricopa County Superior Court complaint, the first woman who accused Pena of sexual assault did so in August of 2018, saying he raped her as she was handcuffed in the back of his patrol car. The second woman, Christopher Lee, says she was sexually assaulted in June of 2019. 2 years later, Phoenix City Council approved a $425,000 settlement related to Lee's case.
Holy
Pena's
shit.
attorney says money could be a factor for multiple witnesses moving forward.
Motivated by financial.
He also questioned the credibility of multiple victims.
You're going to hear testimony that Miss Lee changed her story.
And asked the victim testifying today why she went up to Pena's patrol car if she was scared of the police.
You actually were approaching Officer Pena because you thought he was still investigating the crime, correct?
Yes, and he called my name over there. So what choice really do I have?
Pena currently faces 7 felony charges, 3 counts of sexual assault, 2 counts of sexual abuse, and 2 counts of unlawful sexual conduct by a peace officer. In the next week, other alleged victims will testify, as will other Phoenix police officers and detectives involved in the investigation. Live in the newsroom, Elliot Polikoff.
Brand new bedrock track. 15 minutes ago.
question.
House drinker, are the people blaming the Democrats?
That's preposterous. You know, the people aren't blaming the Democrats, okay? They're blaming Republicans. Democrats aren't doing anything, all right? It's the Republicans who are responsible for all of this, all right? All they care about is the Constitution, you know? Free and fair elections, lower gas prices, and creating jobs. Democrats are just trying to get rich, okay? You want to blame somebody for high gas prices? Then blame Putin. You want to blame somebody because your business shut down or you can't feed your family? Then blame Trump. I'm just so sick and tired of peasants blaming us. You know, we don't care how much you pay at the pump. We don't care if you're broke. We're just trying to give money to other countries. Because that's what we care about the most. And that's what you should care about too.